There are literally thousands of historical markers across the state of Georgia that tell the story of our state. Long after we're all gone, these state historical markers will still be here to tell our shared story. I'm Stan Deaton from the Georgia Historical Society, and this is Our History. As the first president, George Washington took over the new federal government after the passage of the U.S. Constitution, and he felt like he needed to get out and see the country, and the country needed to see him. He was a living symbol of the American Republic. So obviously, in an age before mass communication, before television, most Americans had never seen George Washington, had never seen their president. So in 1789, just after he took office, he toured New England. And 2 years later, in an effort to get to all the states, he toured the states south of Virginia. Of course, his own home, Mount Vernon, was in Virginia. So in the spring of 1791, George Washington left Philadelphia, which was the U.S. capital at that time, and he took off south. He stopped at Mount Vernon, and then he toured North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, 3 states that he had never been to in his life and would never see again after this tour. But he spent roughly 3 months traveling through very bad roads. The weather was warming up. Spring was really a lovely time to be in the South, but if you can imagine, he traveled along the East Coast down through Wilmington, North Carolina. He stopped and spent a week in Charleston. As he left South Carolina, he made one stop before he got to Savannah, and that was at Mulberry Grove, which was the plantation home of General Nathaniel Greene, the Revolutionary War general who was a friend of Washington's. His widow, Catherine, lived there at that time. He stopped to see how she was doing, and then he came on, ferried across the river, and arrived in Savannah on Thursday, May 12, 1791, to great fanfare, as you can imagine. The city fathers welcomed him, the militia came out, there was a water parade. It was a huge big deal. It is now to have a presidential visit in Savannah. Most presidential visits these days last hours. Washington was here for 4 full days. And he did everything that you would expect that he would do. He toured the city, he worshiped at Christ Church, he toured the earthworks, what was left of the Revolutionary War battle site with Lachlan McIntosh, who was also one of his generals from the Revolution. He had dinner at a coffee house with the Society of Cincinnati, which he was in. And he generally did things that you would expect a visiting president to do. He talked to the people, he got the sense of how they felt about the national government. He toured places around Savannah, and he toured Savannah. He spent 4 days here. After he worshiped at Christ Church on Sunday, May 15th, he then went north of here and made yet another stop at Mulberry Grove to see Mrs. Greene again, before traveling on north, where he eventually went to Waynesboro, and then he went to Augusta, which was Georgia's capital at that time. So he spent 10 full days in the state of Georgia, getting the sense of how people here felt about the new government, the new national government, getting a sense of letting the people see him as a visual symbol of this new American Republic. This would not be the last presidential visit to Savannah, but it was the last time George Washington ever set foot in Georgia.